I'm Tyler.
And I'm Ryan, and this is Retrobit Unplugged. What's going on, Tyler?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing?
I didn't even ask you.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
I said, "What's going on, Tyler?"
I said I'm doing wonderful.
I didn't say how you're doing. What are you doing?
What am I doing?
Yeah, what are you doing?
I'm talking to you.
Why are you talking to me?
That's
Well, I
kind
guess-
of what the purpose of the show is, not?
Sometimes. Sometimes it's about that. Sometimes it's about nugs, not drugs. I see the new sign in the background.
Yes.
I like it.
Thank you.
I like it. Yeah. So being a Rockies fan, how's that going for the viewers out there?
I don't think they exist anymore.
Probably not. Although I will say that they've had more fans in the stands than the White Sox did last year.
I don't. That's true, actually.
So, but they got a few wins. But we're not here to talk about baseball. We're not here to talk about GTA 6 or GTA 7. Did you see the troll that they did, by the way? They posted something saying they're going to release GTA 7 next year and push back GTA 6. Because that's how it's going to go. Anyway, so we are going to take a drive down memory lane today. And we're going to go back in history.
How far?
We are going to go way back to the 80s.
You weren't around yet.
I was not around yet. I was not born until the second segment of this show today.
How are either of us supposed to do this segment when neither one of us was around for this?
I'm sure somebody with a ton of money named Elion has made a machine to travel back in time. Just saying. But we are going to go down history lane. This is your episode today.
It's pawned onto me.
It is pawned on you, but it's something you're passionate about. So Tyler,
that's fair. I'll give you that.
So what are we gonna do today?
The history of professional wrestling video games.
Okay. I know very little.
Trust me, I know.
You do know. I've played one.
I played a lot.
I know you do. You probably have every 2K from the last.
Let's see. I've played mostly every SmackDown versus Raw game, which is truly elite. I mean, there's a lot. I know you've only played one, which you told me about.
I have. So I have only played, genuinely played WCW versus NWO World Tour, Foreshadow. I think I had it. It's for the N64. I wanted to try something different. I used to play a lot of baseball games back then. I tried a wrestling game. I think somebody got it for me for my birthday. It was okay.
Wrestling was hot. To me, it was a big thing back then.
It was. I didn't know what wrestling was all about, so I was completely lost when I played it.
Do you remember a character you played as the most?
Sting. I always played as Sting.
Yes.
And
I love to hear it.
Every once in a while, I think Andre the Giant was in that game.
There's no way.
I think he was an unlockable character.
Wait, hold on. I'm gonna blow your mind here. Was his name the Giant?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, that's not Andre. That's Big Show.
No, I'm pretty
No,
sure.
I'm telling you, it's Big Show. If it's a WCW game, there's no chance it's Andre, because Andre had nothing to do with WCW. Matter of fact, he was dead before the thing existed.
Okay. This is why you're doing the show today.
They had the same gear, but I can see the confusion. I guarantee you got confused with the Big
must have been
the Big Show, but
that's okay.
Someone who doesn't know, I don't expect you to know that.
So anyway, we're gonna start today. You
told me that before, and it's just now I'm thinking he must have got that confused with someone else.
We're gonna start.
I think I'm gonna start all of these.
All of these. It's all you. I'm just gonna ask questions because pretend you're giving a history lesson on this game. Games. To a first grader.
To a first grader?
First grader. I am not smarter than a first grader.
Got it. So,
well, All right, so we're gonna go. We'll lay it out. We're gonna be in the 80s and 90s.
It's gonna be a
So
multi-parter.
multiple parter. We can't cover everything in one
This would be a 4-hour episode,
part.
and we probably would only get to like the mid 2000s in 4 hours.
Yeah. Well, we don't want that. We don't want our listeners dozing off halfway through. Are we gonna do graphics, like fun little graphics for the YouTube viewers?
You know, I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. What I'll probably just do is I'll probably just find like either some box art or I'll just find like a picture of the title of the game.
Okay.
There'll be some form of way
All right,
to
all
know.
right.
It'll probably end up being a picture of box art
And we should
for
probably
the game.
link the games in the
Well, I don't know. Listen, half these games you probably it takes 9 years to find someone selling
Okay,
it.
that's fine. It's fine.
I can.
Not to buy
I'll
the
post.
game.
I'll post. I'll put the box art up, and if people want to do more information, they can just look up the game. It'll be
Okay,
there the whole
all right.
time. You type it in.
So we're gonna do 80s and 90s today, and we're gonna start in 1983. So Tyler,
1983.
what
Generally, this is considered. This is. I don't know if we're still in the territory days here. I think we are. I don't think WWF is a big mainstream until 85, 84. So therefore, there isn't no really. There isn't a WWF for a video game. There isn't a WCW. There isn't much. Hence why, in 1983, this is considered the first wrestling game ever.
ever
Ever to
Ever.
exist.
So-
This is the first one.
So this is like up there with like Pokemon Green.
Yes, in recorded history, this is the supposed first ever because they don't have any
Okay.
evidence of any other.
So I'm looking at my notes here, and it was on the Apple II, Commodore 64, and NES.
Yes, I don't have that written down for some reason, but you are correct.
So
Because I went off the Japanese version of the game. That's why I don't have that part.
well, that was probably NES, right?
Yeah, so this is a Japanese game, but it got a North American a release under a different name. And when I did my research under the Japanese version.
And what was
So
that called?
Big Pro Wrestling.
Big Pro Wrestling. What was it called in the
North America was called Tag Team Wrestling.
tag team? Okay.
So in Japan, it was primarily a arcade, a cabinet game. There was no like a release for like any of the systems yet. I think that was mainly North America. But basically, this is widely considered the first wrestling game ever, and it's exactly what it sounds
Okay.
like.
Did this have any sort of affiliation with any promotions?
No, because there was no promotions
That's
really
not-
around. I
Well-
mean, why did my phone go off? Ignore it. Whatever.
But now my
Talk. I'm gonna stop my phone.
my question for you is did it still look like a ring, like a normal
Oh
wrestling?
no, this was you very much could tell this.
It was wrestling.
This was
Okay.
this was wrestling, but no affiliation with any. Well, this should be wrestling. No affiliation with any real life wrestling promotion. Nothing. It was basically like a generic tag team wrestling game where you faced like different levels of masked wrestlers,
Okay.
and it was kind of a you have to keep winning, or if you lose, the game ends kind of deal.
Like all those games were.
Basically were, yeah. It was super simple. There was no like actual you're in the ring controlling a character doing moves. It was more of a fact of you have a screen, and you would have a menu with a list of moves, and then you would just pick which move you wanted to do when it was your turn, and then the screen would play like a video of pixels of
An
that
animation.
yeah, pretty much. There
So
was
like-
no
It
actual.
was like Pokemon, like the
Exactly,
original
yeah.
Pokemon. Okay.
It's Pokemon, but like in wrestling, that's how the moves were
Okay.
performed. You really had no
And
control
you-
over it.
Just so I'm clear, though, you didn't have to throw a Pokeball.
No, you just
Okay.
don't drop kicks.
You throw a drop kick.
Yes, I actually had a name of most of the moves here. Like
Well,
like,
how many moves were there?
from what it looks like, there were 10.
There were 10 moves.
Yeah,
That's quite a bit. I know that.
I'll just
sounds
name a
crazy.
couple. Like you had like a headlock, a drop kick. You had a power driver, brainbuster, lariat, the German suplex. Like most of these moves, it's gonna don't want to get too nerdy, but these are a lot of Japanese professional wrestling moves. These are really big
Okay.
moves used by Japanese wrestlers at this time. So
Okay.
it makes sense.
So this set the tone.
Yeah, this pretty much set the outline of
Okay.
wrestling games for at least the next. I want to say, if we look forward, for at least the next. I want to say 4 to 5 years.
Okay.
This is kind of what the concept was.
Now, around this time, how big is wrestling in the States?
I think at this time wrestling is the biggest thing.
Okay, like is WWF around?
WWF is definitely around, but I don't have my timeline
No, it's
with
fine.
my
It's
head.
fine. It's fine.
But I'm pretty sure at this time period, either Vince McMahon just acquired it from his father
Okay.
and is beginning his monopoly, or I think at this point they're planning up for the first WrestleMania.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know the time frame yet.
So
I don't have that in front of me.
So I'm looking. So 80.
It would have been 83 when
Yeah.
the game came out.
So this was right after the founding of Titan Sports.
Okay, so yeah, they're just starting out.
Okay, so it's starting to gain traction.
Yeah.
So
but like Hulk Hogan's around, like
okay,
those guys are definitely around at this point. But the concept of the WWF at this point isn't at the point which everyone would know it as.
That makes sense.
In the following years.
That makes a lot of sense. So this game, basic, but it one of the top selling arcade games.
Yeah, I mean, when you come to top selling, I mean, I have this for Japan. I don't have there were really no notes where I could find on it in the United States or in really anywhere in North America because it was a primary Japanese game. It was the top grossing arcade cabinet of the month in Japan in January of '84, and it followed it up again in '84 of February.
Okay.
So
obviously, I think about other video games we've probably talked about around this time. You got like Pac-Man,
was Galaga out yet?
Galaga would have been out. I think Galaga was late 70s. But you don't have we're still not in a timeline. Like we're so used to affiliated games, right?
Games being associated with big names.
PGA, NFL,
MLB.
I've been MLB. So we don't even have anything like that.
No, not yet. The first one of that would come 4 years later.
4 years later. So big pro wrestling, tag team wrestling for the US side.
Well, North America, Canada, Mexico.
That's fine.
Wherever.
Sets the tone. We have our first real wrestling.
Yeah, the basis outline of professional wrestling in a video game sense for the first time.
So awesome. So we set the foundation. How much? Don't say the name of it yet, but how much of a leap is to the next game? How much of a difference is there?
So, but between the two games,
the next one, yeah, we're going to because we're going to fast forward.
Okay. So between the next game, which would be 4 years later.
Okay, like how much of a step up would you say this game is?
Honestly, I'm gonna assume for the time after I read it, it's a step up in one way, but if from a complete outline, it's could be either on the same page or just like a tiny step above.
Because
nothing crazy yet.
Are you saying because it's still turn-based playing?
It was they were pretty much the same style of game, but then I guess in here you could say that there is one thing that really elevated it. I'll leave it up to you once I say it. But
so we're moving on to
Micro League Wrestling in 1987.
So like I hear that, I'm thinking Micro Machines, which is obviously completely different.
So no,
another popular 80s toy, by the way.
Was it? I don't know what that is.
Micro Machines. So imagine Hot Wheels, but this big.
That sounds cool, actually. I don't know why that sounds really cool.
They were pretty wild. Anyway. So Micro League Wrestling, another turn-based.
Yes, another turn-based.
Apart?
So, couple things. This is the first WWF game.
Really? And just so nobody's offended,
From what I found, I don't.
We're saying the original names of WWF because we're telling history here.
Yeah,
We're
I mean,
not.
obviously not everyone knows it's WWE now, but
Yeah, so we're not trying to offend anybody. We're just trying to kind of,
don't sue us, Panda.
yeah,
Don't
we're
sue
just
us.
we're just we're just laying it out as just kind of a history
Yeah, I
lesson.
mean, but
So
yeah,
you can
this
preface that.
is
So the first affiliated game.
first
Now
one. Yes.
now it doesn't say it in the title.
No, they did not. But the concept of the game was based around the WWF at this point.
Okay. So Micro League, they made a bunch of different sports games. They did like baseball. They did other stuff.
Yeah, so that company basically created a wrestling game, but they also did it in partnership with
Okay.
the WWF at this point.
And if I'm looking right,
It was released for the Commodore. Is that how you say that? The
it is
Commodore.
the Commodore. So Micro
What is that?
League.
What the hell is a Commodore?
So the Commodore was like Atari.
Oh,
It was a counterpart to Atari.
all right. Well, it also was released for the Atari.
Yeah. So Micro League also had a baseball game around this time.
I did find this where I was doing research on
And
it.
it is MLB affiliated. So it's
Sounds like Micro League at this time is beginning
very big.
the affiliations of
Yep.
sports games or just games in general at this point.
Just games in general. They did wrestling, which is associated with WWF and MLB. They had a football game later on. It didn't have any affiliation.
Gotcha.
So turn base, who was on the cover?
I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure it's Hulk Hogan
It is Hulk Hogan.
because I'm thinking 80s. It's probably gonna be Hogan.
So Hulk Hogan, and we just have to go with the times. WWF logo is on the front cover. Like, bam, this is what we got.
Yeah. So, in terms of similarities to Big Pro or Tag Team, it's basically the same game. I mean,
Okay.
turn-based, choose actions. You're not really controlling any moves. What's different about this is instead of having to face a step level of opponents,
Mhm.
you now choose a match. You choose. I'm sorry. What's this? Players choose from a set of preset matches,
Okay.
which in terms were digitized images of real life WWF matches.
So I'm gonna ask.
I have an example of
Okay,
one of
go
them.
ahead,
So
go
one
ahead.
of them was Hogan and Randy Savage, or
Oh, so you were playing those matches?
yeah. So you would pick who you wanted to be. Sorry, not who you want to be. You would pick a match you wanted to do, and then from there, you would. That's with a turn base where you would turn based off of what's
Okay.
going on in the match in front of you. It's a very weird concept when you think about it, but I guess at the time,
Okay.
and you just choose moves until you drain your opponent's health, and that's it.
Okay. And so it's turn based. This is think board game.
Yeah,
We're
very
not
board gamey. That's perfect.
we're not seeing anything in terms of like we're used to today, like actually controlling the players, whatever game it is, right? We're controlling the
Yeah,
player.
we're not there yet.
We're not there yet. Okay.
No.
So
What's weird about this is this game had its original set of matches that came with the game at base, but also had the ability of expansion packs that you could buy for extra matches.
really,
Yes, I didn't see what matches were on there, but it definitely sounds like they had
so
expansions.
you're saying then that we had DLC packs
Pretty much, yeah.
before
That
DLC
was
packs.
probably the first versions of like the DLC packs.
Okay. Okay. Unique.
Yeah, very unique game. Very much sounds like a way. Just this game was just a way of WWF getting their name out there in the video game market. That's basically all this sounds like.
And it's not a bad move, right?
No, I mean
like
no.
if you have, I'm trying to think of a, like, I get that they have a mode on their own, but at some point the WNBA is going to get their own game.
Yes, I mean, well,
they may, okay, maybe I'm using a bad example, but let's say this is back in the 2000s. There was something called Murder Ball, and
sounds awesome as hell.
Basically it was wheelchair rugby.
I'm sorry. Say it again.
Wheelchair rugby.
Bring that back. I need to watch this.
I think it's still around, but like if they had a video game, it brings even more awareness, right?
I would play the hell out of that game. You have no idea.
It was they have a whole documentary. You should watch it sometime.
I will know.
So it's good to get that affiliation.
Yeah, get the name out there.
WWF is now on a big trajectory.
At this point, they're big time.
Okay.
I would assume they're big time at this point.
But as we get to the 90s, there's some struggles, right?
Yes, especially the year of the next game is where it.
So we're gonna leap. This is ironic. We're gonna leap 4 more years.
4 more years. Yep.
So okay. So we had Big Pro sets a tone for a wrestling idea, a game idea. They have it in place. Micro Wrestling, hey, we can be affiliated. And then we move up to 1991. So I'm born now.
1991. You're around now.
I'm around now. So I'm definitely not playing this game.
No, how old are you? You're
1.
1 years old.
I probably couldn't even move my fingers that way.
All right. So now, like you're saying, we're at 91, and this is
a big leap.
The big leap. It's probably the biggest leap we will see for some time.
So this was, what was this released on?
This was a arcade game.
This was an arcade game,
but it did get a port much later on. But for the most part, it stayed as
now
arcade.
In the 90s, this is when we had that big shift to arcade style games. So, we used to have NBA Jam next to us. It's in storage now.
Yep.
But we're getting that coming back. Like, we've moved past the Pac-Man era. We want arcade games. 90s, when you think of arcade 90s, you think of
Street Fighter,
Mortal Kombat, NFL Blitz,
which I'm still trying to find one of those.
Yeah. But that's where we're at. Man,
elite games.
Right? These are elite games. Maybe we should top 10 arcade games. I'm just saying. So we are now moving to 1991. WWF, big,
ginormous.
This is one of the first heydays. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, very much so. I can agree with that.
And this game went from here to here
very, very quickly.
So
very, very quickly.
This game is the first to dome the name WWF.
Yeah, from what I found, this is one of the first. I think there was one more in between them, but no one really.
Okay. So
about it.
So what is this game?
This is WrestleFest.
WrestleFest.
Which is arguably one of the most important games for the WWF because it is one of the best.
Okay. So tell me what made it the best?
Well, this is the biggest leap in terms of wrestling games the industry has seen. This went from your turn-based strategy to where you're actually in control now.
In other little players.
Yes.
Okay.
This also featured, to this point, the biggest choice of playable characters in a arcade style game like this.
How many?
10. Which that doesn't sound like a lot.
No,
but if you think about the times at this point,
91, you're lucky to, I know Super Mario had been out for a little while, but you can only play as 2 characters possibly.
The most I found before this was a game I don't remember, but it was like 4 or 6 characters.
4 or 6. Okay.
So to our listeners, 10 may not sound like a lot. For the time, it's huge.
You get to actually start grabbing people, hitting them.
Yeah, grabbing. We're
not there yet.
We're not there yet. Okay. We're not there yet. But no, yeah. So you 10 to choose from. Examples like Hulk Hogan, because obviously Ultimate Warrior, Jake the Snake Roberts, and Ted DiBiase. You had 2 game modes. You had Tag Team or Rumble. Pretty simple game modes.
Wait. Does that mean you could play 4 players?
This one had compatible.
So up to 4. we went from 2 players to 4 now.
Yeah, this was compatible up to 4. So you and 3 friends you could team up, do 2
at the local pizza parlor on a Friday night.
Or if there needs to be some grudges settled against all 4 of you, load up into a Rumble and just go at it.
Okay.
Uh,
So we got the biggest roster, actual actions, but I
this
have a
is
note here. There's something unique.
yeah. So for the first time at this point, each individual playable wrestler had their own move set and finishing move. It was no longer you had a set of generic moves that everyone used. At this point,
So did we
everyone.
have that Jake the Snake guy?
What are you doing? What are you doing? Stop it. Everyone had their own moves. So Hogan had his leg drop. Warrior had his warrior splash, etc., etc. Snake with his DDT,
Okay.
which was unheard of at this point. You had a generic move at this point. Everyone used them. Where else are we looking at here? Oh yeah, this game also featured entrances.
Entrances. Do. Those kind? I mean, I know
Mm-hmm.
he wasn't around yet.
This game in the Royal Rumble mode, each wrestler would have their actual entrance music. They have a
Okay.
little entrance, that was new at that point too. That's
Do.
no, we're not there yet.
Okay.
But so massive jump, entrance music, entrances, move sets,
Fireworks.
no fireworks yet.
Okay. But we're now developing
What a wrestling game should really look like.
what it should look like. Okay. So
Some other notes here. It was the second most popular arcade game in North America, and it was the third most popular game in Japan in 1991.
okay. All right.
This game, I'll move on here soon, but this is important to know. There was a remake of it in 2012
Okay.
for, for iOS and Android.
Can you still download it?
No, it's
Oh.
dead. That it was in 2012, and the 2021 game, Retromania Wrestling, was inspired by WrestleFest. A lot of R's being thrown around today,
Okay.
which shows that there's definitely a lasting impact of this game.
So we're painting the timeline now. Okay.
Yeah,
So we've gone from basic whatever those generic characters are to
turn-based screen games to now you're
in control.
button mashing.
Button mashing, yes. Like 2 buttons. So
Might someone picture here? I'm good.
from there we're gonna jump another 4 years. So it's the last time
Yeah.
we're gonna jump 4 years.
Yeah, there was a nice little period of it. They were just taking 4 years of important games here. Just so we know here, it wasn't like they released a game every 4 years. There were games in between.
But what
it's every 4 years they decided to drop something important. That's when they decided to. Which gets us to 1995.
1995. So
4, 5,
5 going on 5. I believe this is around the year Pokemon came out, by the way, since we've referenced that a few times.
What the hell was in 83? Is it talking like Pokemon?
This is actually when this is actually when I think the first Pokemon game by Game Freak came out.
Okay, I was confused. I'm like, you talking about in 1983?
So 1995. Now this game, we don't leave the pizza parlor for this game, right? Because it says it's an arcade.
Yeah.
Although
it definitely
it
came out as that style initially, but I think
it did move to PlayStation, NES.
I just have it written down as the arcade version.
So it did actually come out to Saturn, Super NES, PlayStation. So
it got a port.
I think we should mention that's now you're starting to get into video games.
Home consoles.
I know it sounds crazy like to say it that way, but there's a stark difference between like a true video game and an arcade game. Like
I can agree.
Yes, Pac-Man has made it to arcades, or to home consoles in some remastered version. So was Galaga, but those were made for the arcade. Okay. Now we have a true home console game, like designed for it. So we're in 1995. I don't think the Giants have won a World Series again yet.
We haven't won one yet.
Yeah, you haven't won one yet. Didn't you win one in Brooklyn, New York? I mean, whatever.
Oh, 54.
Okay.
Yes.
So now this game stays with WWF.
I mean, yeah, they're the only one around at this point.
Okay.
Actually, I lie, but that's not what
Now is
this is about.
WWF still high?
Oh, very much.
Okay,
I
but that's going to
this is,
change.
however, this is, I think in '95 we're starting that turn
Okay,
where the turn's starting to happen.
so 1995 WWF drops.
WrestleMania Arcade,
Okay,
released by Midway Games, which everyone should be
Midway.
kind of familiar
Yeah,
with.
they've.
If you're not, same people that release games like NBA Jam
Yep.
and the Mortal Kombat. So, which surprisingly,
Has One Up done one of these yet?
like the machine, they've done both.
They've done WrestleMania.
Oh no, I was like, no, I did talk about Mortal Kombat.
Oh, okay. No,
was,
yeah, I've seen both of those. Okay,
I have not seen a wrestling game of this yet.
Okay.
I would be interested.
So Midway, we're on home consoles now. What
Yes.
makes this one so special?
So not much, really, but the important thing out of this was this game influenced the arcade style for wrestling games.
Okay, it
Hence,
really
meaning like the cartoony, not so serious, like
okay.
Mortal Kombat
So
style.
this was a side quest.
Yeah, this kind of started like,
Okay,
we could make a wrestling game, but the wrestling game could also be
fun.
like a Mortal Kombat style game. All right, he didn't crash. We're good. So yeah, because this game is the best way to describe this game is just combine Mortal Kombat with NBA Jam. You have WrestleMania Arcade.
Okay, so kind of a little side quest, but this is also around the time WWF starts. Okay, so maybe this wasn't. It's not a bad move because Midway. I mean, Midway was producing, the games you said. I think they did NFL Blitz.
They think they did too.
They did a
They
lot of major.
They were
games.
on one. They were on one.
You can't be mad. I get it. The 2010 they went defunct, but some of the biggest games that they did was, the ones we're talking about today. They made a Harley Davidson game, Mr. and Mrs. Pac-Man. Like, this is big.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like at this point, if you had a game in the arcade made by Midway, you were kind of important.
So shout out to that.
But yeah, no, at this point, WWF is kind of starting to notice a decline, and this game shows it a lot by its very cartoony style.
So, do you think that led to why?
What, this game?
Do you? No, obviously, the game didn't lead to the downfall, but do you think the I guess somebody signing off on it, like this goes kind of outside the realm. Like, it wasn't the cartoony before it. Like, they were trying to get as realistic, and then they took the side quest. But WWF, the promotion, starts to go downhill at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, they lose Hulk Hogan,
so they start just making poor decisions.
So that's one, and I think in my opinion, this, some people may not agree with this. I don't know how you don't. It's kind of true. What really kind of started this little downwards decline for him during this time is they really focused in on family friendly products, the kids, the goofy characters like Doink the Clown, or what's another one? The Gobbledygooker. That's another one. Like, very silly characters. Trust me.
What is this? The Weenie Hut Jr. or something?
That's the way they were going.
Okay.
And see that look, I'm like, yeah, the Gobbledygooker. Which, anyone who don't know, the Gobbledygooker was a giant man, in a turkey suit who came out of an egg. I wish I was joking when I say this, but that's
okay. I have an important question. Is he related to Dinger?
Who's Dinger?
The mascot of the Rockies.
No,
because he was hatched on an egg on the field.
Gobbledygooker was hatched out of an egg on a stage at a pay-per-view.
So on a ring.
No, he was on the stage.
On the stage.
Wasn't it in a ring? On a stage.
Dinger was hatched in the outfield.
I mean, maybe they could be related somehow.
We need to
Birds
do.
and dinosaurs are pretty close, right?
They are.
There could be like a
I
cousin in
think
there
there's a
somewhere.
conspiracy theory there. Anyway,
You do it. Quick little sideboard. No one can look at this. It was rumored at some point that the Undertaker was going to be the Gobbledygooker.
so what you're telling me is WWF is just
it's going down.
It's gonna crash land
because everyone wanted this more serious and not so goofy style of wrestling. Well, that's where our next gaming and company is going to come into play here.
So WWF, is this about the time they start looking to change their name too? I know you don't have it in front of you.
97. We're closing in. I think they changed in the 2000s.
Okay. They're starting to catch heat. And WWF isn't doing well. And this opens up a door. Huge door. For a new promotion called
WCW, which isn't really new at this point, but
like it's able, because they're the ones, I only know this from the documentary. They got like Hulk Hogan and
they got Hogan, they got Scott Hall, they got Kevin Nash, they got Bret Hart at one point.
Okay.
They had a lot of guys come over. But no, 1997 is really the beginning of a very famous thing you may be familiar with, of the Monday Night War.
I'm not very familiar. I saw it from the documentary.
Okay.
So this one set the tone.
Yeah, this is before we go any further, this is WCW versus the World.
And
1997.
So we have 1997, but it actually came out in Japan about 6 months earlier.
It did, and then they released it fully to the rest of the world.
So
I believe this came out on PlayStation.
And it came out, it was
I just have PlayStation. Yeah.
Exclusively PlayStation. Which is big. So this was also released by THQ,
which is a big wrestling.
So WCW really put.
Oh yeah, they were going in. They were going
all in. Their WWF is struggling. WCW drops. This is their first game, right?
This is the first game for
them.
For them, yes.
What made this game so different?
Well, for difference, first of all, this is by far the biggest roster, I think. To this point, any wrestling game has seen, possibly any game at this point. They had over 60 choosable wrestlers 60? At this point. 60.
Dude.
14 WCW wrestlers, 46 fictional wrestlers.
I don't even know if my Fortnite locker has that many skins.
I say fictional because, technically speaking, the 46 fictional wrestlers were just wrestlers with a generated name, but were based on real life Japanese professional.
Okay. And there's some of their laws and stuff. Okay.
Yeah. This game was a part of the big and famous virtual pro wrestling series, which was big in Japan, and its massive amount of praise it got was primarily focused on the amount of game modes it had. It was 7 choosable modes to play from.
And I'm reading here that you could defend a belt.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, this basically is the first.
This is laughing in the face of WF.
It creates storylines. Without story, I get it. We're on PlayStation, people. Grand Theft Auto is still blocky, but you can defend your belt, Tyler.
That's big. I also think you could create a belt too at this point.
Wow.
Yeah, basically what they did with this game was they basically made this game and just said, look, let's see what the WWF does in all their games, and then just do times 2 better on
it. And they even created a new health bar.
Yeah, they completely new
this WWF missed.
Horrible. Yeah, I'm trying to say this as nice as possible. There's no way of saying this, so please excuse me here. This game completely shit on anything that WWF does.
Giants just hit a grand slam.
Did they actually?
They did.
I can't laugh yet because Shohei Ohtani exists, and so I got to be happy. But let's go. Anyways, yeah.
It's still doing better than Juan Soto.
I got called crazy for that one. Oh yeah.
Well, it's not halfway through the season yet.
I'm gonna jump in quickly too. I forgot to mention this. It's also a bit of praise was that it was its oh my god was its use of real life wrestling holds and maneuvers that were usable
So wait,
in
wait.
the game.
What kind of like?
So like at this point, right, up to this point, there wasn't really anything you could specially do. You could do like a punch,
Yeah,
a kick.
yeah.
Yeah. This game introduced doing stuff like, okay, I can hit a sleeper hold, or I could do a.
Really?
You can actually do like actual like true wrestling
So
moves.
so did this set up you're about to talk about, the most unique feature of the game?
I believe that'd be. I think so, but I think that's the game after this.
It's the one after
I
this.
think what we think about is the game after this, but this was like the setup to it. I
Okay.
believe this game opened up the idea like, hey, this next thing might be possible.
Okay. This game scored all over. It was actually really,
It's a very solid game.
really good. So WCW now is just taking a stronghold on the
83
market.
weeks. What did you 84 weeks? 83 weeks?
Eight-
I think it's 83.
Okay. So
84?
it is creating such.
Oh no,
creating
as
a headache.
WWF needs to fight back at MA on.
Okay, so they're struggling.
Yeah, big time.
They're struggling. So you can't compete. I mean, that's like, look,
This game's
even today, like people try to make NFL-esque games, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's made an iconic game outside of Madden except for ESPN 2K5. Okay, like we need a whole episode about that game. They're setting the tone. They've completely, like, nobody is touching them.
They're pretty much setting the market out. Set the market,
Right.
setting
Like,
the bar of this is what a wrestling game should be.
This is the Madden of wrestling now. Okay, so that's a pretty high bar. Okay, and we only got one game left for this era. Okay,
until arguably the greatest game of all time comes out after this, but
in
that's
the 2000s. Okay,
that's
it's fine.
next episode.
So, but we have to talk about this last game of the 90s. Yes. That's iconic.
So originally this was supposed to be WCW versus NWO Revenge. However, after further research, I found that WCW versus NWO World Tour was more important.
And now this is
released in 1997, by the way.
And this was only released on one system.
The N64.
Which I still have a hole in my hand, just so you know.
Why?
Because of the joystick.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Okay. So it's released in 1997. Merry Christmas to everybody. 1997. N64. THQ again.
Yep, THQ, the GOAT. I love you.
And what is it known for?
Well, before we get to our big thing, let's throw in a couple extra notes here. It became the second best-selling wrestling video game on the N64.
I owned it, and I'm not even a wrestling fan.
I only talked by one game, which came out 3 years later, which we won't mention yet, but
we'll get there.
People probably going to know what game that is.
So WCW is taking a stronghold with this game.
Yes, but we're closing in on the now.
And it's fine. But this they set the bar for the future.
Yeah, right? I mean, pretty much but this game
it had pretty good controls. Have you played it before?
I did, because I remember at Ant's house, the system.
Oh, yes.
Jacob took over it.
That's
but
right.
I mean,
it actually wasn't
that bad. Trust me, I'm more used to the current day games of it. At first, I was like, okay, this is but once you adjust to it, it's a very fun game.
It is.
You pick it up, you get into a match, and then you could just have
right. It's good.
It was a good game.
It's good.
It was a good game.
They have that, but what else? What else you got here? Before we get to the key, we want to build some suspense. Don't give the key.
Well, I also have here, it was well received for its tight construction and ease of play, which I can't confirm. It was very easy to play.
It was.
The roster size was great too.
Even I could pick up on it.
The roster was great too.
I mean,
all the stars are here.
It had over 70% on basically every last, like Nintendo Power 7.9 out of 10. Official Nintendo magazine had 86%. IGN 7.5 out of 10. This was just great.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing really bad with
Um,
it. There was really nothing bad or.
and apparently, I'm reading this right now. Is you actually had in the Japanese version bleeding. It was the first game that had bleeding.
Wow, you could run the Blade in Japan version?
Apparently. So,
That's
but
kind of
but
awesome.
what was this iconic for?
Yeah, so this is like this is iconic for one important reason, and it's arguably very important. This game was the introduction of the grappling system, which sounds basic,
Is
but
that the
this is now where you collar collar and up a tie up, and you can go around and do grab a back, or you can it set up a whole system of where all the moves are started with one grapple at the start, and you can move off of it, go to the back, do a move, tie up. This system
mm-hmm.
would be featured in every single wrestling game after this. There was not every wrestling game
It's obviously been
after
improved,
this,
but
obviously, but this introduced that system. Then now every game after it
so basically what
featured,
you're saying is without WCW, we would not have the games we have today.
arguably so, or maybe not a good grappling system.
Okay. Um,
That's
so
pretty important.
that is important. So that's the last key game of the 90s. Um,
I thought one of them was a 99, but I was wrong.
That's okay. That's okay. Um, those games are just incredible. Like to really think about the development. I love that we're doing this series. We're gonna do it for a few different other games
Yes.
or other game ideas.
Once we get to the 2000s, I will have actual hands-on experience with most of the games.
It's fine. You know what though?
I feel like I could give better insight on these games on ones I play. Like once we get to the 2000s, and then afterwards, I would.
But they weren't mainstream yet. Like
No.
in the 90s, you still had like Sonic was big.
Crash Bandicoot.
For the N64.
Was Spyro around?
Spyro was on the N64. You had Mario 64. Like you still had games that were dominated from the 80s. So like Super Mario made it to. You had the Mario NES games. You had Mario 64. Sonic was getting big. Crash Bandicoot. Like we were in an era where a lot of characters that were made in the 80s were still carrying over to the 90s. So while the games were starting to gain traction, and yes, I get the last one we talked about was like the second highest. It the market was not there yet. Even like Madden was out there, but
it was a game only made for that for those fans of that game.
Right. It hadn't developed yet, right? Foreshadowing. And so you have this entirely, but it's still so important because you just built the foundation for the next 25 years. So with that's the 80s and 90s for professional wrestling games.
Yeah.
Are you sure that's it? That's
I think if there's any one of them. No, that's all. That's all. I don't think there is one.
And there was other games you said.
Yes, but honestly, I'm not saying there was only a total of 5 games from 83 to 97. No, there were a ton in between then.
Okay.
But those were the ones I felt like provided the most influence or importance to being talked about.
Well, I think this really sets up. This is going to be either a 3 or 4 parter.
Let's see, Professional Night is.
I think it's a 3-parter.
I mean, the 2000s. What are we doing? Are we going up to 2010?
I think 2009, and then I think we're doing 2010 to today.
Okay, so yes,
3-parter.
Which 2010 to now maybe only like 3 games.
Yeah, and I think some things will get repetitive, but we just laid out, and now we're gonna get a chaotic 2000s. Like we dedicated the 2000s just to themselves.
Yes.
But yeah, I know we've been off a couple of weeks. Some things have been a little crazy in life. I know we're knocking out a few episodes, so you might hear us talking the same thing in a couple different episodes, like timeline wise. But no, glad to be back at it. Part two may not be right after this. We may spread it out with a couple
Yeah, I gotta
small
get my research
episodes,
in.
and but that's where we're at. So, Tyler, you got anything else?
No,
Aaron Judge is demolishing the ball. By the way, I just want to point that out.
it's not fair, is it?
No, it's not. He actually cleared Fenway tonight. He went well over the Green Monster.
What's funny is he should have got his monthly award card in the show. However, his overall on his live series card is too high, so he can't get one because it was the same overall. That's how good he is. His live series card is like up to like a 96 or 95, and where we are currently, his the awards card he get would be at 95, so there'd be no point. He's already been playing at his stats.
He's too good.
Yeah, he's too good.
He's too good. Maybe top five Yankee of all time.
Oh, I mean,
we're not doing hot takes. I'm just
listen. I'm just maybe I'll start. Maybe, no, not doing hot take, but maybe I'll just say on an accident. You can make an argument for number one.
You're not beating out Babe Ruth.
Babe Ruth weren't seeing no goddamn 87-mile-per-hour sliders.
Babe Ruth could eat more cheeseburgers.
Babe Ruth would have seen one pitch from Paul Skeens and would have immediately stopped playing baseball.
Can we please start a GoFundMe for Paul Skeens?
Why? What did he do?
He's pitching incredible. Like in 13 games, or no, what was it? 16 games. His team's only won like 7.
Got it.
Get that man out
he's
of
trying,
Pittsburgh.
He's the Lamborghini in a trailer park. I got you.
I'm going to be nice. We're going to leave it at that. So, I want to say thank you for everybody listening. And on that note, we hope you keep it real.
Keep it real.